Hi everyone. This week we're going to talk about NKBA graphic standards. This is important because your design project has to be documented using technical drawings. It's not enough just to have all that design information in your head. You have to communicate it. And we need to use technical drawings to capture all of those details that allow a project to be permitted and built. Now, for this class, I am assuming that you have had a basic drafting course and you're familiar with the AIA standards. These are used across the architecture and interior design industry, but kitchen and bath plays a little bit differently. All right, there's a slightly different set of graphic standards used by the NKBA, and that's what we're going to be studying here. There are some major differences between those AIA and NKBA graphic standards, and I've got them laid out for you here. Let's look first at the scale of your drawings. AIA draws plans and elevations at 1/4 inch scale. NKBA is typically doing smaller, more detailed projects, and so those plans and elevations are drawn at a larger scale, 1/2 inch equals a foot. Right. Because those projects are smaller, they typically can use a smaller sheet size, even though they are drawn bigger, all right, with a larger scale. So the NKBA will typically use an 11 by 17 sheet size. If you need to bump that up to 18 by 24, that's fine. All right. AIA typically uses a much larger sheet. 24 by 36 is pretty common. There are some different line types used for the cabinetry. You may be familiar with drawing countertops as a solid line, not drawing the base cabinets underneath those countertops, and using a dashed line for the upper cabs. All right. And that's because AIA uses about a 4-foot cut line for their drawings. NKBA does this a little bit differently. The countertops are still a solid line, all right, but we do indicate the base cabinets underneath. That uses a dashed line. Right? And they use the upper cabinets above with a solid line and not dashed. The dimensions are also different between the two standards. AIA dimensions are given in feet and inches, for example, 3 feet 0 inches. NKBA gives dimensions all in inches. That would be 36 inches, not 3 feet 0 inches. Also talking about the dimensions, AIA will dimension exterior walls to the exterior face of structure, right? Face of stud, perhaps, and the interior walls to the center line of structure. NKBA is interested in the finished face only, so all walls are dimensioned to the interior finished face. Finally, doors and windows are dimensioned differently. AIA dimensions to their center line, NKBA dimensions to the casing, and I'll go into more detail about that when we look at the floor plan. The best example drawings that I've been able to find online are on the Chief Architect website. The link is here. It's also in your module. Please go check those out. And in this lecture set, I'm going to be using the small kitchen file. So go ahead and take a minute now to download that. A typical NKBA set of drawings includes a title page, floor plan, construction plan, mechanical plan, and interior elevations. Other drawings that might be included, but maybe not in all projects, include some details, cross sections, a perspective view, a countertop plan, soffit plan, reflected ceiling plan. All of these are options, right? Schedules are typically on the drawing sheets. Specifications would be a separate set of documents that are added to your drawing sets. We typically, in our student work, do not provide that separate set of specifications. And there also might be a written design statement. When you set up your technical drawing sheets, you need to start with a title block. Standard NKBA sheets, 11 by 17, landscape format, not portrait, landscape, all right, with the title block along the bottom. Put a border line on your sheet. It's about 1/4 inch from the edge of the page, and then that title block is about 3/4 of an inch high. You need a title block on all your technical drawings. You don't need it for the title page because you can provide that project information in different ways. We're about to see some examples. All right. You also don't need it for the mood board because the mood board is typically more of a design document than a technical drawing. So you're able to leave that off if you want to. Now, if your plan does not fit on 11 by 17 at 1/2 inch equals 1 foot scale, all right, bump up to the next size of page. That would be 18 by 24. Don't switch to the smaller scale. Don't go down to 1/4 inch equals a foot just to fit on the page. You have to use that larger scale. If you do use an 18 by 24 or anything larger, right, the title block typically goes along the right-hand side and not along the bottom. The difference is how these sets are bound. 11 by 17 is typically just stapled in a corner, whereas anything larger is bound along one side, and therefore it's easier to read a title block along the side. I've also included here in your set the enlarged title block piece so that you can have this text. For student work, our program is NKBA affiliated, and you have probably, hopefully, signed up for a free NKBA student membership. And so you are allowed to use the NKBA logo on your drawings for our program. Right. So go ahead and do that. You can download that from your module. Also, if this extra step is a problem for my class, you are welcome to use just a piece of text that says NKBA. It doesn't bother me either way. So this example set that we're about to look through uses one of Chief Architect's standard title blocks instead of that NKBA standard, and this is also acceptable. Let's move on to talking about the title page. The title page is going to be kind of like the cover page or cover sheet for your set of drawings, and it needs a lot of project information: client, building name, all right, location, designer's name, their firm, maybe their contact info. It needs a key to kind of the symbols and legends that are used, and it includes a sheet index for the drawing set. An illustration is optional. A title block is optional if you include all of that information in some other formats. Now, for student projects, we typically don't have some of this information. We don't have that key to the symbols. We may not have a whole lot of information about the client's location, etc. And so we commonly place the design statement on this page because there's room and it makes sense. We've got a couple of examples of the title page, and I don't love these examples. So let's take a look at this one here for the small kitchen. It does give the project name and the client's information. I'm sorry, the designer information, but it doesn't give a sheet index, and that's important. Here's another example from the Kitchen and Bath Design Presentation textbook, and it's got the sheet index and it's got a perspective drawing. I would argue that the perspective drawing needs to be a lot larger and the sheet index maybe could be smaller text. All right. And then let's take a look at a couple more examples. Here we have a larger sheet size, and so they've used a right-hand title block. And then we've got a sheet index on it. We've got two different formats for that. Those are acceptable. Here's one that gives an illustration and just the title of the project. There's no sheet index and there's no designer information on here. This one up here, I think, is your best example of what I'm looking for in a student project. All right, it includes the title block, which is useful. It's got all that information about the project and about the designer. You can just keep that. Okay, it's got a project title. It's got a table of contents, it's got an illustration, and it's got the design statement. All right, and you can format those in whatever order or layout that you like. All right, in this video, you've just been introduced to the NKBA graphic standards, how they differ from the AIA standards. We looked at the title block and the title page. Thanks, everyone.